We officially have a needy cat on our shoulder and a plant. A few years ago, I swore off anything TBR related. I swore off TBR jars, TBR games, just simple lists, anything to do with list making and telling myself I'm going to read all these things in a given month. I swore off because I have to be honest. I'm a mood reader through and through. I like the ability of finishing something and then going into whatever I want next. However, I am my own downfall. Damas y caballeros, yo solita me la cago. Yo solita me la cago, señores. Sometimes I finish a book and I don't know what to pick up next. And that sometimes becomes an issue because then I don't read anything at all for like a week or two because I don't know what to read and nothing really seems exciting and I don't have a north. So what I am here to seek, the One Piece, but maybe not the One Piece. What I want is a compass to give me some kind of north. I just want a sense of direction when I'm feeling lost. And that is where the TBR jar comes in. The TBR jar has been around for ages. Like ever since I remember watching TBR videos, the TBR jar has been there for years. Everybody's doing it and I'm joining the crowd. A girl has never said she is anything but basic. And we are making a TBR jar together because I actually asked you guys on Instagram to leave me all of your prompt recommendations. I also asked my patrons to leave suggestions on which prompts could be a good idea for a TBR jar, and we are going to put them all together. Please hold. In this jar that used to hold my coffee and now it doesn't because now it's empty. Even though I've washed this 3 times, it still smells like coffee. So you know it's a TBR jar with a hint of je ne sais quoi. So we're gonna go to the office and we're going to write down a bunch of prompts, put it in here, and we're also on top of that going to redo my TBR card, and we're going to also do it together based on the prompts that are here. You can literally see Vin playing with the door in the background, or I don't know if she's actually playing with like a little cat mouse. I have got journaling supplies that I have not used in a while, and I think it's due time to put them to good use. I think personally it would be kind of cute to not use white paper because that's extra basic. And instead I want to make it like extra aesthetic. Make it with some craft paper. I think it'd look like super cute, super cool. And so I've pulled out my craft paper notepad, which again have not touched in a hot second. See, I wanted to make this different by actually making the jar with you, and I just realized that there's really like nothing interesting to talk about. So let's get to writing. Let's start jotting some things down and start filling this baby up so that we have got some prompts in, and then we can pull from this and make a nice little TBR card. Is a new day. I have got my water filled up. I have got a full TBR jar. This shit is so full, you guys. Please hold. I did not expect to fill up this entire thing full of prompts, but I did. In between the ones that you guys provided on Instagram and then the ones that came up on Patreon, I have filled up this entire thing. And I wish I could put more, but I feel like this was already an excessive amount. This is like 3 pages worth of the pad I showed you. So I'm trying to figure out, because I did see some other really good ones that I would have loved to put in here. So I'm trying to figure out if what I should do is, you know, read the ones that I have picked out and not put the paper back in so that I can put in new prompts so that I always have kind of like a new prompt, a new thing to choose from. But I don't know, because the ones that are in here are really, really good. And I think they're universal enough to the point that if I do pick out anything really, I'd be able to fit a bunch of books from my shelves. So we'll see what happens. However, the card needs to be fixed. I can't move it too much because Vin is sleeping on the bottom tier at the moment. The Melcam is present and there is a cat in the bottom tier of the TBR card, but this is basically what it looks like. Like it's just a mess. It's got plushies as well and whatnot, so we need to fix it up, but I can't move it too much because I have got a baby currently. So we need to grab everything off the TBR card and basically put it somewhere else, and that needs like a space of its own, so I need to figure out where on the shelves to put these in. Let's just pull out stuff. is empty, officially. Except for Vin. Vin is occupying a shelf, but not much else we can do on that front. But it's time. I'm really scared because actually what happens, this is why I don't do TBR videos. This is why I don't make TBR lists. What happens if something comes up that I just don't want to read? I'm sure I could make it work in my favor. I'm already stressing. Not supposed to stress people. Listen, I'm bending and snapping. Always, like bend and snap, bitch. I can make anything fit in my favor, okay? Vamos, vamos, sí se puede, señores. Es que sí se puede, chucha. I can't even mix this properly just because there are like so many papers. It's like, how do people fold these? Universo, por favor, guíame en el camino correcto. I've got something right here. This is book you bought, ooh, while traveling. I'm scared, but that's not a bad one. That's not a bad one. Okay, let me just show you right here. For accountability's sake, book that you bought while traveling. See, I don't own a whole lot of books that I bought previous to me traveling. This go around that I've gone to like Miami and London, I pulled out 3 options because I think it'd be good to start out with something that is not so dense. The Godparent Trap, which is very similar to Life as We Know It, the movie with Josh Duhamel and Katherine Heigl, or at least it's supposed to be somewhat similar, where the setup is that 2 people who are godparents end up having to be the legal guardians of a kid whose parents passed away, and those are like the best friends, except that these 2 godparents really don't like each other, and essentially it boils down to them having to refigure out how to structure their everyday lives and their lifestyle with now having to take care of a kid. I also got Written in the Stars while I was in London, and I think this could be a cute one as well. It's a sapphic romance about an astrologer who ends up fake dating somebody else. I know part of the pitch is like a Pride and Prejudice meets Bridget Jones's Diary. I don't love Bridget Jones, but I do love me some good Pride and Prejudice. And then the last one I picked out was Stars and Smoke by Mary Lou. This is essentially about a pop star turned secret agent slash spy and him having to infiltrate a super big criminal group, and through that how he meets the love interest who is a fellow agent who will have to help train him. And so any of these 3 books could be a good option. I don't know why I'm leaning Godparent Trap, so I think this is the first book I'm going to add to the TBR card because this, honestly, I love the movie. I love Life as We Know It. I'm familiar with the concept, and so if this book is anywhere near as good, then I know I'm gonna love it. I haven't even established how many of these I'm going to pull out, but I guess my best course of action is to take out 10 of these papers and then use the second tier in the cart for books that I am still in the midst of. What happens if I pull out, see, this is what I'm terrified of, is I really want to read Words of Radiance, but I'm terrified of me getting a prompt that alludes to Words of Radiance because it's a freaking long book, but let's see. Second paper. First in a series. I do not need to start another series right now. We got it. First in a series. For this one, I'm gonna choose The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. No questions asked. I don't know why I blanked because so many of the books that I'm either about to start or want to read sometime soon or that I'm already in the midst of, which I could include for the TBR card, are first books in series. I totally blanked. The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. People pitch this as like Criminal Minds, but make it YA. Something about this is calling my name. I did read The Inheritance Games recently and I really, really did enjoy it. And I'm hoping that this one will be kind of similar. I was talking to Liv because Liv loves this. She was like, listen, just vibes, go into it with like vibey expectations and not anything like great. But I know that it basically follows a group of teenagers that are recruited by the FBI. Each of them have their own specific skill set and they're like really gifted at it, which is why they're recruiting the group called, I guess, The Naturals. And the first book follows the case that they are working on, which is a serial killer case. And we see that through the eyes of Cassie, apparently, who's the main character. One fell. I will take that as a sign from the universe. Hands up in the air. Look. I promise, one did fall. Illumicrate book. Illumicrate book. Do I have anything that I have to read sometime soon that it's an Illumicrate book? I don't know. See, I included this prompt because I buy books through Illumicrate and I also was subscribed to Illumicrate for a while. I was a rep for them and I have loads of their books that I have yet to read still to this day. And so I wanted to make sure that I was kind of like incentivizing myself to read from the book box because Lord knows that I have too many unread of those books. Okay. What happens if I do a Fire Endless? This is the sequel to A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross, which basically follows the main character Jack as he is is called back to his hometown to aid in a case where little girls are going missing. And the way to do that is through music. And he is a music teacher. He's very gifted at it. And in this fantasy world, music, particularly the one that he performs, is a tool and a way to communicate with the spirits and with the gods, like, you know, whatever they believe in. And there's also like a rivals to lovers romance of a kind with Adara, who is one of the leaders of the clan. So it could be a vibe. I could borrow the audiobook for this because I know the audiobook for the first one was so good because the characters are Scottish and so the narrator has a Scottish accent. It's like super good. I am diamond painting, and so diamond painting while I listen to an audiobook is quite nice. And I do believe, I could be wrong, but I do believe this is a duology. So if I read the audiobook, I would be able to finish it out. And this is an Illumicrate copy. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? I'm thinking we put it in. Okay, great. Let's just put it in. Next up, we've got prompt number 4. Yes. Okay, so for prompt number 4, we're gonna do this one. Ooh, a romantasy? Oh no. Boys, I think we got a problem. Oh no. Boys, no. I think I fucked up. I put this prompt in as a vision for the future. Not like a right now. And I don't know that I have a lot of romantasies on my shelves. Does legendary count as a romantasy? Maybe. I did ask on Patreon. I did ask on Discord, and 8 people so far had said that it counts as a romantasy. So I will say that legendary counts as a romantasy because I don't want to set myself up for failure. I know legendary is one of those books that I could get through quite quickly, and I have been meaning to keep on going with the Caraval series because I really enjoyed Caraval. Follow Scarlet and Donatella, who are sisters, and their father's fucking terrible. And Scarlet has always dreamed of going to Caraval, which is like a performer island situation, and she's never gotten the opportunity to do so. And so Donatella, in an attempt to make Scarlet do something that she actually wants to do, basically flees with Scarlet and another guy, and then Donatella goes missing, and it's a shit show. And it's a great time. And I'm super excited to see how Legendary goes down because Caraval had a twist that was so good that I just need to see exactly how that came about and exactly what happens from there on. Okay, so for the 5th prompt, we're halfway through, friends. Let us choose this one. I have like 3 on my hand. And let us go for a fantasy book. That gives me loads of freedom to actually choose whatever I want. This is like a cuspy. Please forgive me if you don't think this is fantasy. Please forgive me. I'm going to put the Bone Season in here because I've been meaning to reread this for a while, and now that the 10th anniversary revised edition is here, it's time. I consider this to be like a cuspy of sci-fi dystopian fantasy. I would argue there's like a little bit of everything in here, but I don't know if it's classified specifically as a fantasy, if you know what I mean. Maybe it is and I just don't know, but we basically have a futuristic London, a futuristic world really, but it is particularly set in what they call Scion London. The book starts in 2059 and we follow Paige Mahoney, who is a clairvoyant. There are different sorts of clairvoyancy in this world, and it is illegal to be a clairvoyant. It is frowned upon, looked down upon, even though it's not really something you can control, and she works in the underground of Scion London, and so she knows very well how to perform crimes, how to do things, how to hide, how to make sure that she is not found for what she is. And in the midst of everything, she'll end up finding like a super secret society of like some really fucked people, and it's a great time. I really enjoyed the first one, but I'm dying to see how this like revised edition of the first book is going to go down and how much better it's going to get, because getting like a dystopian fantasy book in 2023 with current writing, everything I want. For our 6th book, I feel like I've gotten really lucky up to this point, and I don't know when my luck is going to run out, but let's go for number 6, or maybe the prompt jar will actually treat me kindly, who knows. Highest rated on Goodreads? Oh, see, here's my problem. My problem is that my Goodreads is not up to date with everything I own. So everything I've bought in like the past year or so, maybe a little bit over a year, I don't think I have it on my want to read shelf on Goodreads. But for the sake of this video, I'm scared. It's probably gonna be Words of Radiance. What should be Words of Radiance? And I'm gonna have a fucking crisis. Watch, I'm calling it right the fuck now. It's gonna be Words of Radiance. I just know it in my fucking soul. It hasn't loaded yet. scared. It's got to be. It's either that or the Mindfuck series. I don't think I'm gonna get anything other than those two. I know my shelves. I know. See? Right there, right there. For your eyes only, just to prove it. And I'm gonna do it because I'm a responsible human being. But just so that you guys see this, Words of Radiance, Mindfuck series. I know my shelves. This is the universe's way of like urging me to actually read this book because I've been reading this for 2 years now. I've restarted this book twice now. And I actually did borrow the ebook quite recently on Libby so that I could actually get through it and not have to hold this chunker in my hands. But this is a fucking sick joke. That's all I've got to say. Like, here we go. I'm putting it in because honestly, I don't have any excuse. I genuinely don't. So Words of Radiance is going into the TBR, and yes, I'm gonna be pissy about it. I am. I will forever be salty that my first TBR jar made me read Words of Radiance. Watch me love it in the end. You've been putting off. Oh god. See, here we go. You've been putting off. A book I've been putting off. See, I'm gonna be kind to myself with this one. I am going to choose Tomorrow x3 for this one because it's a book that I am in the midst of, so I am currently reading it. I'm 102 pages in, but I'm basically adding this because I have been putting off finishing it for such a long time now. And I actually recently just got like the holographic paperback, so maybe it's time, maybe it's time. This one is set to be a love story of a kind without really having any romance. It's more so a romantic tone between two people who have many shared life experiences and who have gone through a lot together, and yet they never really come together in like a romantic relationship way. We follow our main two characters who are game developers, and they met when they were really, really young, and we get to see them through all stages of life when they are young and experiencing hardships and tragedy, and then when they are young adults into adults as they develop a game together and everything conflict-wise and joyful-wise that comes with that experience. And so it's a really beautiful book. I just have been postponing it because I know I'm going to cry, and I'm still missing 3. I never said I was gonna read these in the span of a month, but so for our 8th book, it's also thundering out there, and it's like it's gonna be bad. I just know it, so we're not having a great time. The light is also going down, not a good time. But for the 8th prompt, similar vibes to a favorite makeup palette. My favorite makeup palette, regardless of which one it is, and I don't know that I could choose a favorite, but my favorite one is the Major Dimension palette by Patrick Ta. It's a really beautiful palette. You've got a mix of shimmers and then a mix of actual matte tones, so it's quite nice. I've got volume 1 and volume 2. I'm trying to like not get a glare because like it's bad, but this one, which is the second one, if I'm not mistaken, yes, the second one is more like reddish pinkish tones, while the first one has got more neutral tones, but like it still's got like the reddish shades. And the reason why I keep mentioning the reddish shades, please hold, is because I kind of want to add Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. I have got the Indigo edition, which is reddish tones. It's got gold. Both the palettes have a lot of gold and a lot of like shimmer. It's like bright, it's out there, it's illuminating the way. This was my Patreon book club pick for August, and I have yet to read it. We're also not going to talk about it, but the live show is next weekend, so I do have time yet to read it. We're gonna make it work. All I know is that it's another Shakespeare retelling. It's Chloe Gong's adult debut, and I don't know much else about it because I've been keeping it that way because I don't want to know a whole lot. I read like 18 pages of it, and I do know we've got jumpers, which is kind of similar to the Bone Season actually, where they can project their astral form and get into like another person's body, and then they are able to control said body. So it's interesting. I just don't know what else is going to happen, but I do know we've got like a crown prince and like a lost princess. But let's go for number 9. Oh, number 8, number 9. Please hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, number 9. I'm missing 2. Okay. Book that features academia. I'm not in the mood for dark academia, if I'm being honest. So I'm gonna have to choose something that features some sort of academia, but that is not dark academia. Could Vesperdine fit for this? Well, I guess in their version of like what this happens, it technically could be academic. Artemisia is training to be a Grey Sister. Training, academy, academia, a nun who cleanses the body of the deceased so that their souls can pass on. Okay, so I'd say it fits. Good Sister Liv says it fits. I hope it's a good time. I do have the audiobook for this as well, so technically out of all the ones I have, I already have like 2 audios. I think that's good to kind of get the load off the physical reading, and I can do this while I diamond paint. And this actually is also the Le Fantasma book club pick for August as well. Can you tell I read the books the month of the live show? It's fine, it doesn't matter. But that's the book club I host over on Patreon with Liv. Patreon is always linked down below. By the way, if you want to join us, I would definitely suggest doing so because we're pretty fucking cool.
Prompt number 10.
Tried to be dramatic there and I just think it did not look as dramatic as I expected it to. Gifted by someone. Ooh, okay. Technically, I gift books to myself too because I love self-care. I am looking at it. I just don't know that it's a great idea, but I'm looking at it. Should I add the Mindfuck series? See, I technically could just say like the first one. It doesn't even have to be all of them. It could just be the first one, and it's 122 pages. Let's do that. And just to prove it, it was gifted. I have a gift note right here. It was gifted to me by the lovely Diana. Diana, your wish is coming true. We've gotten there, friends. And what do you know? Maybe I'll read the whole thing. So this right here is the result of our lovely TBR jar. So thank you to the TBR jar for choosing these 10 books I'm going to be reading in the span of God knows how long, maybe a month and a half to 2 months, maybe a month if I'm feeling frisky. But you know, books I do need to get to, so it's not a lie. I do need to get to them. All right, so this tier right here has a rhyme or reason, but like at the same time, like it's just vibe because I have safeties, okay? In case I'm not feeling like any of these, I just put these ones down here because they do sound good to read sometime soon. And so we've got our little like spiral of safety books, as well as the jar that has victimized me several times at this point. Yes, that's going on there, and that's it. Look at it, it's so beautiful. And then behind it, I just put books that I, as you can tell by the bookmarks, I've got commitment issues towards, but that's a conversation for another time. And it's beautiful, and there's a cat down there for decoration as well. It's not real, it's like totally a fake one, but it's something. We've got something. And that's it, friends. That's all I've got for you. The TBR cart is ready. It's looking beautiful. I love the fact that I've got safeties down there because I just wanted to fill it all up and like do the little row thing as well. However, it's really got no purpose, and so at that point it was just better to do a little ladder of safety books and things that I may just pick up in the future sometime soon, as well as a little jar. And I love it. I'm actually quite happy with it, and I'm not going to lie, although I am immensely intimidated by what this TBR looks like, even though I also have currently read books. It is intimidating as hell, but it's a pretty stack. I really love the array of books that I will read sometime soon. Hopefully I get to all of them in September. If I don't though, that's totally okay. I'm not being harsh with myself at all with the pace I am reading in or how I'm reading books. And I do want to make an entire video, like a reading vlog dedicated to a TBR jar picks my books for like a week or something. So do let me know if you guys would want to see that as a follow-up to this video of making the TBR cart with the jar, because I think it's a nice little tool to have from now on, whether I want to make a vlog on it or I don't know what to pick up, or I'm making like a monthly TBR situation. So do let a girl know about that if you'd like to see it, and I'll definitely get to it if you guys do. And there's that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Love you all the most. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't done so already. Also, let me know down in the comments, do you have a TBR for September or a TBR for fall, or however format you utilize a TBR in? Do let a girl know if there's anything you are excited and looking forward to. Have you read any of these books? And do you have a TBR jar? I know a lot of people do, like even just outside of BookTube, because a lot of people, again, love it as a tool to find their next read and have some sense of direction. So do let a girl know all of that in the comments. I'm going to skedaddle, full transparency, and go read The Natural. So I'm already good. I'm already starting. I'm already on it, if you ask me. If you want to find me anywhere else, I do have a podcast. It's linked down below. It's called Talk and Talk, and you can find that over on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I am looking to upload it to other podcast platforms like Google Podcasts and Amazon Music and whatnot. Also thinking of perhaps adding a video element to it, if you know what I mean. So listen, all things are possible. We'll see what happens, but we are officially back with the podcast. Linked down below alongside all of my socials and my Patreon, which I definitely suggest joining if you want to take part in helping me choose books for TBRs or just having fun sprinting and all of the good stuff. Love you all the absolute mostest, and I will see you in the next one.
Bye.